Okay, so the purpose of this video is to demonstrate the virtual tools that you have to use in the Unit 4 um, on solving inequalities. And so I'm looking at one of the question numbers from it's question 5 from the pre-test for Unit 5, and the question is right here. It says x squared plus 4x minus 12 is greater than 0. So we have an inequality, and what I've done over here is to solve that inequality. And you might want to notice the way we've treated this, and if you have a different way of solving inequalities, that's probably fine, as long as you're getting the correct answers. Um, Instead of dealing with the inequality, we changed it to equality. Solving the resulting quadratic equation is not really a huge problem. It factors easily into x plus 6 and x minus 2 in some order. And then, of course, because it's a product equal to 0, we set each one of those factors equal to 0. And we arrive at two answers, x equals minus 6 and x equals 2. And then what I've done is to put those two identified numbers on a number line in numerical order. So I have the negative 6 to the left of the 2. And notice I put circles around them, and I did not fill those circles in. I didn't fill the circles in because this was a pure inequality. There's no greater than or equal to. There's no or equal to. So we're going to leave those circles open. And then you can see I've done is I've tested each interval with a number from that interval. So I identify the 2 points of equality, in this case negative 6 and 2, and then I'm checking a number in each of those intervals. Now in this upper interval to the right, I'm checking the number x equals 3 in the original inequality. So I replace x by 3 and x by 3, and I get 9 plus 12 minus 12 is greater than 0. And of course, when you do that arithmetic, you get 9 is greater than 0, and that's true, so I wrote the word yes right here. In other words, numbers in that interval above 2 are going to work. And the reason we're doing this way is because it mocks something in the calculus called the first derivative test. And so you would want to indicate that all those numbers bigger than 2 work. Now in the interval between minus 6 and 2, I've chosen to use the test number 0. And plugging 0 into the original inequality, I get 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 12. I get negative 12 is greater than 0. And of course that ends up being a no. That's wrong. So numbers between minus 6 and 2 will not work. That interval would be excluded. All right. And then finally, the number to the left of negative 6, the numbers below negative 6, I chose to test negative 7. And you can see here I plugged in minus 7 squared plus 4 times minus 7 minus 12 is greater than 0. Got 49 minus 28 minus 12 is greater than 0. That left-hand side becomes a 9. And so we have 9 is greater than 0. And that is true. That's a yes. So numbers less than minus 6 will work. Every number less than minus 6 will work. So you would shade that. And if it was multiple choice, you'd be looking for an answer that was pictured like this. Or if we write it in interval notation, it would be negative infinity to negative 6, exclusive of the negative 6, unioned with the interval from 2 to plus infinity. Okay. Well, to answer this in WebAssign, what we've chosen to do is use the virtual tools. And so they give you a number line and they give you some items to work with underneath that number line. Okay. So I'm going to go to my pointer here, and I want to identify minus 6, and I want to identify it with an open circle in just the same way as I just did physically. Right. So I put the minus 6 there, and I want that to be open. So I use the open symbol. And then I go down to 2, and I want to identify the number 2 that I'm concerned about. And I identify that as an open interval. And Then from there, all that's left to do is shade to the right of 2 and to the left of -6. So I go down and grab this tool right here, which looks kind of like a pencil, and you grab that, and then when you get in the interval below -6 and click in there, it will shade that region to the left of -6, and then you come over to the 2 to plus infinity interval, and you click there, and it will shade that interval for you. Now all that's left to do is submit our answer, right? So I submit the answer, and you'll see this red X right here will go to a green check mark. So I'm just going to click this right here, submit for testing, and there's our green check mark. And so we got it correct. So that's a little demonstration of how these virtual tools work. And a little bit of practice now in the summer will pay dividends come the fall. So practice with it a little bit. It's pretty easy to get used to. It might be a little frustrating at first, but with time, I think you'll catch right on with no problem.